guys been together? Sorry.
So dated for, it's a funny story. Chased her for like 7 years. Yes, I know. Chased her for 7 years. No, you know there's that thing when you want, like, no man laugh. I know, right. You know, chased her for 7 years. And then we dated for like a year or two. And then COVID happened. Then I lost my job. Funny enough, when I lost my job, I was like, I'm going to marry you. Then she laughed. Like, okay, keep on laughing, it's fine. Then got a job. I didn't waste time.
Sanibonani, igama ubongani kaluvalo. Welcome to another episode of Men 360, a men's lifestyle podcast that looks into different issues of men, how we navigate society, who we are, and most importantly, learning and unlearning from each other's experiences. And of course, we're extending the conversation from part one, where we're having a conversation with Dr. Bandile Masuku, who not only is a father, but most importantly, he is a doctor, a medical doctor focusing on gynecology, mama, gynecology. Gisho, right?
Gynecology and obstetrics.
That's what they call OP. Somebody else showed me an OP. Yes. Yeah, also it has a daughter, but today we're focusing really on a journey of pregnancy, but looking at it in the participation of men. Many of us make the mistake to think that it's only a woman who gets pregnant, and the person who must actually navigate that time frame and all its challenges and all its joys is women. But of course, men are also the plant or the seed planters. So of course they've got to walk this journey. And today we thought let's give an opportunity to hear from a first-time dad, somebody or mitiso kuqala. Give it a rough which is Bongani. So I got confused when the team was sending me the names. I was like, you guys are having my name in the part of the people that must be interviewed. But of course, Doc Brabongs, thank you very much for taking time to share this conversation with us, for us to look into your own experiences, your professional side. Dr. Earlier on, we were looking at yourself and your life, but now I think I want us to zoom into what you have studied, the skills that you possess, and how men navigate into the space, or how we get involved. And those who are sitting and saying, I don't even know what am I supposed to be doing, I think they can hear from the doctor's point of view. How do you navigate in the journey? Because many people don't think that there's something to be enjoyed by men, And I can tell you, as a father to one, I don't have much experience. I don't have experience, I just have one. People will say, like, how many kids do you have? I'm like, one. But because I enjoy talking about kids. People think, I'll get there one day, so don't worry, you are in the same boat. Yeah, let's start with you guys introducing yourself. Let's start with you, Bongs, introducing yourself, who you are, what you're about, where you come from, what do you do, and then we'll move to Udok for the introductions.
My name is Bongani Mokhari, born and bred in Joburg, specifically in the West, Ekagiso. Two lovely parents, which is Isaac Mokhari and Patiwe Mokhari. And within my career, I have a PR background, but currently I'm a digital audience analyst. My career started with the famous Gynae socks, and then met with influential people.
What is digital? What?
Digital audience analyst.
Okay. I was in class yesterday, I heard that. But yeah, what do you do with digital analysis?
So basically we check the behavior of brands on social media platforms. What are people saying about brands, and how can brands optimize in getting more followers, in interacting with the people. Also advising brands digitally not to be tone deaf, but at the same time to be tone deaf when they are not being authentic with the message. Because mostly what brands do is that they can say, we support GBV, but it's a one-day thing. But there are brands who carry on to support GBV, so that's what we look at. We use various tools, to look at that. So we don't just at the top of our head to like, okay.
Yeah.
Today we are commenting about 360. No, we have various tools that we're using and to check, okay, this post works, this one doesn't work, this one works, this one doesn't work, you know. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I enjoy bananas, love them a lot. Love bananas.
I'm not sure if there are puns intended there, but they're the ones that got you here.
And then also love reading, man. It's one of the things. It's an escape room for me. You know, I have so many books, and my wife's asking like, so many books. I'm like, one day you'll understand.
Yeah.
You know, so
you are married.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you introduced you, you know, like I was in front of my lovely parents. Why don't you say lovely wife?
No, I have a very beautiful wife, and it's been a year.
Okay,
you
good.
Know, so
good.
I was in a conversation with this one lady. I was like, so you guys have passed
honeymoon phase.
The honeymoon phase and the very tricky stage. I'm like, hey, every day is tricky with marriage. You know, but she's a very amazing person.
Yeah.
And I think we'll unpack as we move.
Sure.
Amazing.
Doc?
Bandile from Soweto, born in Soweto. I'm an obstetrician, gynecologist, currently located in Dr. S.K. Matsike, but I'm also a full-time politician, a member of parliament, a member of provincial legislature in Gauteng. But I think we're here to discuss the one thing that I'm very passionate about, which is health and also pregnancy related issues. And but I think I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Yeah.
And I've actually started it when you asked me for this. I started to have a conversation with my patients as they come in, and also the partners as they come in with them, that, you know, this could be a very good part of the practice itself. You know, now I'm thinking about it, it's something that we need to do it more consciously.
Sure. And maybe let's just quickly start here. I know I would want us to feed from Bongani on your part. I think when he explains his journey, which I think some of the questions he might have or some of his experiences he might be having, you would be having answers to those things, especially if they've got to do with health. More than, I think we don't ask a lot when we're in those rooms. We allow the ladies to take the center stage. So I think some of those, so we'll feed from you on that. But maybe let's start with having to explain what is gynecology. So the difference between the two, OP, I've seen this thing of OP. When somebody says, hey, I'm pregnant, like, but I've went to the OP, like, hey, what is OP now? So what is OP? How different is it from gynecology, or are they the same kind of a thing? If you can just maybe just teach us on that first, and then we can then.
No, both are a field of medicine that is actually specific and related to women's health.
Okay.
But the other one, obstetrics, is purely on pregnancy-related issues. So it's about pregnancy health, you know, and gynecology is generally about women's health that relates to organs that make a human being a woman. You know? So your uterus, ovaries. In America, it includes breast. In our case, it doesn't include breast, but broadly, that's what gynecology is about, women's health.
Okay.
And then obstetrics is about pregnancy-related health.
So we would only have a conversation with OB where it starts with pregnancy and at the end. So do they deliver as well, the kids, the baby?
It's actually, usually, we don't really start with the oops part.
Okay.
You know, because that's where most people start the journey of pregnancy. But the journey of pregnancy,
the oops part.
the journey of pregnancy actually begins even before, you know, which I think it's something that we will go through, because that's an important part that most people actually forget. In our day and age, we should be avoiding a whole lot of oops part. You know, we should be having a whole lot of planned, timed, and actually pregnancies.
I think maybe we should have a different conversation, me and you, in the same table on a different day, on solely the health of women, because partners at times we get starstruck. I'm not sure what's the word for starstruck, but where you're living in the mood, you're like, I'm on my period, especially in July, I'm rashad. You're like thinking, we're going on holiday, but ukumbule, I'm on my periods. Like, it dampens. So I think just having to understand the health of a woman, because if someone's going to be your partner, I think you must know when they sneeze, when they cough, if you're touching them and it's painful, what could be the, I'm just thinking that maybe we could have another conversation of what men should know about women's health without having to be infringing on women's space, but just an appreciation as a man of, what women go through as far as their health is concerned. Can we do that? Might be a month or two from here and so on, of course, agreeing with Eloy's schedule. I think it will be a very beautiful conversation.
I think so, because it when partners are involved and there's insight into what's going on, it makes the whole thing actually quite different. And there are men who are involved in the whole health of their partners. And I think we should also maybe try to also be pretty much inclusive, because it might not only be men, but general partners to women,
sure,
or to people who gender ascribe to actually to be actually women.
No, thanks, Doc. I think we'll take it up. But before we get to the oops yako, you had tea? Do you still want tea, or you're fine? We'll have it later.
I'm perfect. I'm still good.
You're still good. Just shout in fact to show nuko nuzo CPT alako. Asignishi, but basically we're not denying this man an opportunity to drink because of oops. No.
No, I'm still good.
Yeah, Bongs.
Sure.
Tell us, where does it start, and how does it get to you knowing? Doc said earlier on that you'd never know that a guy is expecting a child or having a child until they announce it.
Yeah.
But with women, you can see the pump growing.
Yeah.
So how do you arrive at the oops?
So yeah, it was an oops moment, but a defeating and exciting moment at the same time. Because I think prior, so my wife and I had a conversation like, we're gonna have babies. I was like, yeah. How many babies do you want? Just one. I think.
Is that you or her saying one?
This is me, one.
Okay.
In this economy, one is fine. So she wants a big family. She's talking 3. She's talking 4. I'm like, yo, girl.
I support her.
Oh, hey. But I was like, no, it's fine. Look, let's see what we can do. And then fast forward. She's not going to a red October, she's not going into to her periods and whatnot. So I'm taking it lightly because she's always delayed, cycles and whatnot. I'm like, so she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, I know your dude, your date. I know your dates. As you're saying that when your partner maumbamba years taking, I'm like, no, I know your dates. I mean, come on, dude, 2 days.
How long have you guys been together? Sorry.
So dated for, it's a funny story. Chased her for 7 years. Yes, I know. Chased her for 7 years. No, there's that thing when you want, no mangafa. I know, right.
Okay.
Chased her for 7 years. And then we dated for a year or 2. And then COVID happened. Then I lost my job. Funny enough, when I lost my job, I was like, I'm going to marry you. Then she laughed. Okay, keep on laughing, it's fine. Then got a job. I didn't waste time. Tumela bomalume ngathi no, sengiqedile mina. Sengibonile right.
Yeah.
So we've been together for, you can say, 4 years now.
Sure.
So yeah, and then she had pains. Now I'm concerned. What's wrong now? And then we bought the pregnancy test. It came out negative. It's like, thank God. It's not yet time.
Yeah.
But the pains continued, So now I'm very much concerned to a point where she's getting sad. And when she's sad, it's not nice in the house. The atmosphere is not nice and whatnot. And then she was like, let's buy another pregnancy test. I'm like, babe, we've been buying. But when you have a partner that you love, when she says we need to buy stuff, you don't waste time.
Yeah.
Bought a pregnancy test. I was like, okay, this time I'm not coming with you into the bathroom. You can go alone. She went in. She was in there for a good 5 minutes. I'm like, are you fine? She's like, yeah. It's like, oh, I'm pregnant. I'm like, no way. It's like, no, I'm pregnant. I'm like, no way. You're lying, and I know you're like joking. Okay. So she's still in the bathroom, like it's 7 minutes later. I'm like, no ways. Like, dude, you've been in the bathroom for some time. And then I go in. She's like, you don't believe me? There it is. I went down on my knees to literally like look at it, microscope it proper, and I don't know, man. I really cannot explain that feeling. It was nice. At the same time, you're scared. Like, do we tell our parents? Do we tell?
And that time in Shadile again.
Yeah, but I think when you're old school, you still have
yes.
But it was very, very nice, because she also started shedding a bit of tears. I was like, okay. So it was really nice. It was really nice, and to this day, I'm still enjoying, even though it has its challenges. But I'm literally enjoying being a father-to-be and obviously being a support structure.
And how far are you guys now?
We are. I know, dog will come for me.
Yeah.
But last time I checked, we are 17 weeks. So in a nutshell, we are like 4 months.
Okay.
So I asked the question at Gynae. I was like, so why do you guys just make it simple? It's either it's months or it's nothing. It's like, no, but remember, other months, they have days that are missing. So hence, it's weeks. I'm like, okay. So we are 14 weeks, and it's been a great journey.
It's quite fresh, Doc, isn't it? Early stages. Is it past the first trimester?
It's past the first trimester. It's the second now, the mid-trimester.
And why would we have, between the first test and the second test, how far was it?
I cannot really remember, but I think 2 weeks, because we took the first test, it came out negative, and then for that week, she was in pain. So I'm like, now I'm.
So that's 2 weeks in between.
So yeah, you can say a week or 2 weeks.
Doc, how does it happen that others would even go to? I know people went from a positive, 2 tests positive, home pregnancy test, and then to a laboratory that says negative, and then it then comes back in 6 or almost 8 weeks. It says positive.
It could be a defective product, a pregnancy test. But sometimes you do get some pregnancy conditions where you get fluctuating pregnancy hormones. But I think at 2 weeks, usually it's quite early. I'm one of those who really believe in around 5-6 weeks testing. Of course, I also advocate that don't get only one brand, get 2 or 3 brands. Which are different, and then you can be able to actually to check if there's one that will be accurate. If all of them agree, that's good. But if 2 of them agree, one. So importantly is that when you miss periods, that's what we normally say. When a woman miss periods, it's an important thing that they must visit any health practitioner, a GP, a midwife, or a gynae if they can afford. And then they can confirm the pregnancy. The important thing about confirming pregnancy is about dating, just knowing how far pregnant you are, because then you can navigate different phases of pregnancy.
So this mentality, how much you take us is like, I would imagine if it was some Sipo, there in Sbukeng, like, 2 weeks ago, got pregnant. A week later, now you're pregnant. Because I think we don't have an appreciation, and I'm saying it's worse when you now go to Lancet and Lancet says negative. And I think they were told that no, actually, you just missed a period, and within that 2 weeks of missing a period, you guys went for a test, But there's a guy who's like, I'm 2 weeks. So that's why I was saying, medically, is it something that, what should always be the attitude? Because sometimes we jump, worse when you're not in marriage, and probably now try out 2-3 other people, you're not sure. Then somebody comes, what would Doc be the attitude that we must always have when your partner, whether Umjolo or Benchonchen, because the realities of life are there. You are married, Bandile is married, I'm not married, I'm hoping together. But the possibilities are that there's a guy who would live with somebody on Freedom Day, and then tomorrow is not planning to be with them, and then oops. you know, and they jump. What should we always be considering, docs, when we hear these things? Because also, what are the correct words to say to a woman?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to visit a clinic, you know, just to confirm officially from the side of the practitioner. And I think one of the things depends on the situation, you know. That's why I'm saying, you know, for us in this day and age, you know, the oops moment shouldn't be really one of the defining moments, you know. It should be something that is planned, because even for yourself to want to be a good seed planter, you know, you also have to be in good health, you know. So it shouldn't be really a matter of accident or coincidence, you know. You should also have to take care of yourself in terms of smoking, in terms of drinking alcohol, you know, your health, your body weight, and all those things, because it does determine a lot of things, you know. There are things that are unexplained, but most of the things that can be related to just the, you know, the fellow, you know, the man, you know, and it becomes more of a, you know, a problem. Like when you, like, it's a conversation of another day when you deal with a woman who's having difficulty in conceiving, you know, all the time or most of the time,
we look
the
at
default
the
position is it's the woman. And we have found situations where a fellow had not produced sperm for forever. You know? No, he has, like, he doesn't have the ability.
Yes,
but outside he had this thing that he's got 2 kids, so he has been supporting 2 kids, and they were not basically his. You know, so it's an important aspect that as men, because we are the ones that plant the seed, so we also have to make sure that we are in good health and good shape, and make sure that we plant correct, because even the genetics that comes with it, it's a very delicate process, and it needs a very healthy man, you know, which is something that usually it starts before, you know, besides talking to the wife and making sure that they're healthy, but the man also must do the same.
Can we check sperm count if Bongani has got capacity to?
Actually, it should be something that should be done routinely, you know, particularly when you want to start a family, so that you know there are things that you have to change, because in a way, like I've said, we had a situation where a fellow wanted us to do all the tests, do all the procedures in a woman, because now he's proven to be a good bull. You know, he has got 2 kids.
Yeah.
But when eventually we did the sperm count, we found out he doesn't produce sperm. You know, and so it was a big actually problem. So it's an important aspect that before we even start talking, you know, when you get to an age where you are ready to reproduce, make sure that you know whether your sperm count is correct, the motility of the sperm is, because it's also very basic things, that it's the amount of sperm, the motility of the sperm, and how they swim. So if they swim forward and they are strong enough, they've got a proper structure, that's how it is. So I think if you get a chance and opportunity, it's important to do one.
And public facilities, do they offer those services?
Yeah, though in public services, maybe it's one aspect that we need to try and improve in terms of running fertility clinics. You know, we don't have quite many of them. You know, the one that is fully running is one in Steve Biko.
Okay.
In Charlotte, they are starting one now, Matreke. So it's one aspect that we don't really concentrate on because of the expensive nature of some of the procedures and processes.
Boss, 14 weeks, where are you mentally? Where are you mentally? Yes.
It's really shaking. I'm not gonna lie, nah? Because sometimes you don't know if you are supporting correct. Sometimes you don't know if I'm saying the right words, you know. But I think also having a supportive family structure is very, very important. Having supportive friends, it's very, very important, because like most of my friends have kids. So they're like, no, mom, hey. So man Kala just like, no, we are from there, you know. Sometimes also you you don't want to have unnecessary fights, because as the doctor did say, it's a very delicate process, So mentally, sometimes it's frustrating, because you're thinking about the costs, you're thinking about, is the baby going to be healthy? You're thinking that
it's a fun anami or no malume.
Yeah, well, you're thinking about, for me personally, it's mostly health.
Now, Doc, I think this is an opportunity for you to say, these are where my fears lie.
Yeah.
How do I navigate them? So that, as much as you're saying, you don't want to be that pressure plate, because she's got her own pressure plate. She's thinking of many things. Would I be able to carry full term, or this or that? So what are those things for you so that you are also then able to offload and you are then able to achieve the part of not being another pressure plate on her?
Look, I think most of the time it's the growing of the baby, because sometimes the wife would have slight pains and then we are jumping, it's like, what's wrong, but when we see the guy's like, no, it's either the baby is just stretching, but I think my one thing is also, I don't know if it's the correct word to use, Down syndrome. It's one of those things I pray for daily, that I pray for a healthy baby, but then, Doc, my question would be, how do we then avoid certain sicknesses, within pregnancy, because I might not know if they are there, but then if they are there, which ones do we avoid? Which food do we avoid? How do we move around maybe a minor flu, minor sneezing? How do we move around that?
Yeah, basically there are a few things, there are a few things that we have to consider. One of the things is we do infection testing. So we test for all the common infections that affect the pregnancy in a negative way. Your rubella, hepatitis, measles, syphilis, and HIV. And those are the ones that usually give us some defects and also a history of miscarriages. And then the other one is terms of nutrition is the folic acid, because folic acid is one of the vitamin, I think it's B6.
B6,
yeah, which helps with the central nervous system development. So if there's deficiency, you'll get an incomplete development of the central nervous system. So that's the nutrition aspect. And then the one that we have little control over, it's how after the fertilization, the genetics that actually happen, So usually Down syndrome is more common with older women who are over 35, because the eggs that they carry, they are almost the same years, because they produce those eggs whilst they're still in their mother's womb. And they've got finite number of eggs. So that's where the genetic, it's not only Down syndrome, there's a lot, there's Edwards, there's Turners, and there's Downs, which are the most common, 21, 18, and 13, but there are others that are there. So those are things that we don't have control over. But the infections, if they are found, they can be treated, and also treated, and we move on with pregnancy. Pregnancy on its own, like I've said, it's a delicate process. It's a minefield. There are things that we can't predict now, but with the new technology that we have, like we can predict if somebody's got a history of hypertension or can develop hypertension in pregnancy later on, we can be able to do that. Even Down syndrome, early on, around 12 weeks or so, we are able to do a scan where we are able to see if the baby is having any indication that they can have a Down syndrome or any other abnormality, and then you can be able to then talk to, like I know that most people take kids and pregnancy as a gift from the Creator, and with the opportunity of them terminating or not terminating, if the baby is found to be Down syndrome, most of the people tend not to, because they need their support in that space. So those are things that we can look out for, but some of them we have little control over.
And then how important is it because you're talking about genetics, how important is it for one to look back, you know, because genetics, obviously, they can come from a great-grandfather, great-grandmother, you know.
That's true.
So how important is it for one to look back to like, okay, these are the common sicknesses in the family. How important is it, you know, because we tend to just focus on the now to like, okay, can the baby come, and then we are good to go.
Yeah, we do, like when we do history taking, when we interview the patient, one of the things that we do interview, is the family history, you know, so the family history of hypertension, family history of diabetes, family history of Down syndrome, family history of twins. So those are things that are common that we will have to be worried about and be able to see if we expect them or not, you know. But that's why for now, in this day and age, it becomes difficult to encourage the oops part. You know, with the day and age, we have to able to plan. So you plan for your health, you are healthy, you're okay. Psychologically, you are also ready, you know, to be able to, like, you are ready to become a father, start a family. Economically, you are also balanced off in terms of, you know, some few cents in your pocket. So that when this journey starts, you know, you cut out a lot of actually, you know, stressors. But family history is one of the most important things that we ask. Though we don't really ask about men, except when it comes to twins, because the most gene or the characteristics of having multiple pregnancy happens because of men than actual women, except that when a woman is a twin, so they are susceptible to try to do that. So basically, the oops moment, it has got its own disadvantages, but it's the common one of what we deal with. So we just have to adjust as you go.
Okay.
And where you are, my brother, are you hoping for a boy or girl?
First and foremost, I'm hoping for a healthy baby.
That's a diplomatic answer.
Yes, it's me answering as a politician.
Hey, I don't know, man. You know, last we visited a friend of mine. They have a beautiful baby girl, and I saw the love in his eyes. I was like, hey, dude, hey, man, I haven't seen you like this, eh? You know, and then at the same time, you're thinking, like, hey, but I want a boy, you know. So I don't know. I'm just undecided. But for the sake of the podcast,
there's no one to hold you against except answering when you get home. You know, you have declared your wishes to the universe.
Over and above a healthy baby, a boy would do. A boy would do, you know. I don't know why, but a boy would do.
Have you visited the OB or Gynae with the consultations?
Yes.
Are you not? Sorry, at which weeks do you get to know the sex?
You can 100% confirm it around 22, 23 weeks. Unless it's a boy and it's very gifted. You know. It can show, but sometimes we do find that clitorises can be very big and can be mistaken to be a penis, and that's early on mid-trimester that you can have that. So, but to be comfortable and say with 100% certainty, it's almost at 23, 24 weeks.
So at 1920, it's still...
Yeah, you can still say, it looks like it's a boy because you see something elongated showing, but you must open up that room. But for you to be clear, and now with the sonars that we do, the 4D, 3D sonars, you can then clearly see the scrotum and see the penis as early as 19 weeks, you know. And when I'll always come back to it when we have planned it. Oops. You know, like now for an example, when I counsel my patients who are having difficulty in conceiving, and for IVF, you know, is that intercourse might not, in future, would not be the only way of falling pregnant or conceiving.
Easiest way.
You know, so IVF will will be there, and IVF with the technology will give you the benefit of doing a proper genetic screening of the embryo that you are having, whether it doesn't have any abnormalities. You can also decide that the embryo is a girl or a boy, a male or a female, and then you can be able to decide. So with the technology, as time goes, I think the next 3-5 years, intercourse will be for fun. You know, all the other business of making pregnant will be IVF.
Doc, how far are we with the technology? Because you talk about Down syndrome, but also you've had people who would want to push their pregnancy, especially with ladies, you know, after they've achieved certain things. And at 35 and 40, we've seen women who get pregnant at 40. And doctors usually say it's not the best time to be pregnant because it becomes a little bit of a complicated journey. But also there are men who might not necessarily want to be having a relationship with a partner, but just want to have kids. So how far are we in the question of Down syndromes and any other sicknesses, but also for those who prefer a different kind of way of having kids?
Yeah, I think what is there now, it's in the first world, like in the developed world, you know, they do pretty much a lot of surrogacy. You know, like you decide and agree with a woman who's not really your partner, and they just carry a fertilized egg from both of you. So it will be genetically your baby, but it will be carried by somebody else. You know, so it means like you're renting, you know, a womb. and the other one is just a technology that we, you know, where you can determine the health of the embryo, if in terms of genetics, in terms of abnormalities, if the embryo is okay, and also gender choice, you know, whether you want a girl or a boy. So that's where we are now. Conceiving might not necessarily mean that you would have to have intercourse. You know? So usually when I joke around with my patients, I say maybe let's leave intercourse for fun, you know, for recreation, and when you really want procreation, let's focus it in this way, which is so somehow the oops moment, usually now they are getting more minimal. And more minimal. Actually, we should encourage that we should be more minimal on the oops. So we should be planning everything, and we should be planning, you know, to even have kids.
Boss, your visit to the gynae, what's your mind space and your emotional state? You know, you are being shown, I think there's a heartbeat first in the couple of weeks. It's first the heartbeat, and then ultimately, I'm not sure how many times you've gone to the gynae so far. But what's your space emotionally?
The first time I had the heartbeat, no, I was blown away.
You nearly cried.
So, I don't know, Doc. I don't know if I nearly cried or I nearly fell down. I just don't know, you know, because now you are like, so there's a human being growing inside, and you are part of all the creation, you know. But we have a great gynae. It's funny how more men are gynaes. It's anyway. You know, it's a very lovely gentleman, Dr. Howard Manyunga. Very, very nice guy, you know. So he took us, so we saw the technology. So it's not just a scan, you know, like Farah, I don't know what's that gel, and then they just, you know, they go deeper, you know. You see, because he had an iPad, I was like, it's a scan on my iPad, not, you know. But when I saw it operating, now it's what you are talking about, the technology, you know. I had the heartbeat as if you feel the heartbeat. He was able to, so how he determined the weeks, I don't know, there's this thing that he does on screen, stretches, you know, so he was able to determine the weeks. I was so blown away, you know. It's a great feeling to know that your partner, or rather your wife, is pregnant because you're also part of that pregnancy. I missed one checkup purely because of work, but I was so sad, you know, because we went to the first checkup together. I had to work on the second checkup. So when I went back to work, because it was a period of, she went on a checkup on a Friday. So Monday I went to my manager, I was like, okay, I'm giving you my dates. I don't want anything. I want to attend all the checkups. I want to attend all the antenatal classes. I just want to be present, you know, because I've seen how my wife becomes more...
What happened in the antenatal classes? Yeah, sorry, just finish on the wife and come back to this class. I didn't go to them.
Yeah, I haven't, because with my wife, you know, when you support her fully, she becomes happy. She becomes, like, she can even give you $1 million to like, I know, you know, so that's a role that I've seen, that if I'm very supportive, I'm going to have a happy home, I'm going to have a happy family. And then regards to antenatal classes, I haven't attended one, but it's basically exercises, what they tell you to do, what not to do, what you need to do as a husband. So this is me just taking from just my research. But those visits are just amazing. Even the drive to the gynae, you know, I make sure that we don't have a moody day. It's just like, let's go, baby, this is our road trip. And even when we come back, you know, we start having conversations about, so what do you think? Should we do this? Should we get... So last week we were talking about car seats, you know. I'm like, no, but we need to get this one. No, we need to get this one. So we have various conversations, and it's very enlightening to me, you know, because sometimes, or back in the days, you'd hear with, ubabuya sebenza umama, yabona, ubabuya sebenza umama, you know, but I also took it upon myself to, like, I want to be present no matter what happens, unless I'm pressed with meetings, with appointments and everything, you know, but I really want to be that guy that when my child comes out, I'm not surprised because I was present before. You know, it's a continuation of a happy journey, and then now we're having this guy who's not going to pay rent, who's not going to pay groceries, who's not going to do anything but taking much of your time. You know, so my happiness starts there, and my involvement started when she was pregnant until conceiving.
Doc, those classes, yes, one part is being present on the... I did the consultation, like from first consultation to the last, to the crowning of the oops, you know, with the cutting of the umbilical. I call it the crowning of the oops. It was stealing from dogs' words. But we didn't do classes, but I've got friends that have done classes, even picking off the bag. How important are they, Doc, and what do they entail?
For me, I call them a leadership, you know, for men, because it's almost like getting a qualification. It's 10 months of attending, you know, and the important thing is to give information as much as you could. One of the important things is that what will happen, what to expect at different times of pregnancy, and what also you need to be ready for, you know, when we go into labor, and what you also have to help us with, you know. So usually men or partners become my agent when they are not around me, you know. So satisfying cravings, you know, which are strange cravings in many respects, you know, but they are an extension of the care after leaving the practice. So you need to give as much information as possible, you know. The aches, you know, you have to know that, you know, some of the things are just common, you know, back ache, so you need to be there to rub, you know, the back, provide support, give the pillow, you know, if the legs are there, you need to be there to support the legs, to lift them up, you know. So the importance of men or partners to be present, it's just make sure that the pregnancy, even outside, you know, the practice, even at home, the care is continuing, you know, and of course they become less stressed, you know, the women become less stressed, you know, they don't get more anxious, and the questions that they have are joint questions because they've discussed them. So I call it a leadership, you know, for a lack of a better term. So when they leave labor ward with their baby, at the end of the day, we know that we have a qualified father, you know, and a partner here. So when you do it again, you are going to do it with ease.
Boss, the next coming is what? The full cycle is what? 40 weeks?
40 weeks, yeah.
40
That's
weeks.
10 months.
10 months.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are you looking forward to in this remaining 26 weeks?
I'm looking forward to having fun, less stress, because, but Tamajita, they're always stressing about media and whatnot. But I'm hoping to be that pillar of strength to her. I'm hoping to be that loving partner, because I think one thing I'm glad about is that my wife didn't reduce me to being an ATM, but it's a love thing. It's a support thing. It's if I'm frustrated, I'm able to offload. So she hasn't shown any signs that when I offload, then she becomes stressed. But I'm hoping to continue with what I'm currently doing, supporting. Even though we fight with other cravings, I'm like, no, this one is not a craving.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to continue being that guy who's understanding and trying to find their feet if I'm going to be a great father, which I'm hoping I'm going to be. Because that's a mingling question to like, hey, am I going to be a good father? Am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? Am I going to be a dictator? Am I not going to be? But continue with what I'm doing. Provide support, happiness, and just love.
Have you experienced any cravings? I don't know, maybe you can tell us as well later on, Wuti. Is it biological for men to also have cravings? I'm not a muesli person, but believe me, throughout our pregnancy, my go-to thing was muesli. And I'm like, what the hell? And then later on, I appreciate, it's actually the time space you are in, Have you had any, change of behavior, cravings?
I don't know, but I can say my appetite has increased. I eat. Now, I eat. If I don't eat, she knows I become so grumpy. Even if there's bread, I just want to eat. But also I'm very careful in terms of me eating, because you just don't want to be gullible, just to eat, But also sometimes I'm like, I want
come back.
So I do eat, but we avoid fast foods. We constantly driving for cooked meals. But my appetite has skyrocketed.
Is it biological, Doc?
Yeah, they are. It's more psychological, but it's been found that men can also get the same symptoms, as of their partners who are pregnant, and so it's also how close you are, and how the bond that you have with your partner. But I think it's something that we have seen, in many instances. So it is possible. And sometimes you have to fuel the cravings. Make sure that you cater for them. Popcorns. Sometimes it's bacon and avocado, like standard, or biltong and avocado. So you just have to be there, to actually do it.
Yeah. So you still have a lot. Actually, it's quite early. At 14, you still don't have to power.
The journey has just started.
Yeah.
Now you must also practice how you massage, the back, how you massage the feet, because that's what is going to be very helpful for a very happy pregnancy state. Remember that there's a lot of hormones that are involved, so emotions, moods, and so on change, and they change drastically sometimes. We do get people who get more depressed, but we have seen, and also the studies have shown that where you've got a very supportive partner, the pregnant women, the pregnancy just becomes a breeze. And it's also, like I've said, they are extension, so that's why it's so important, And you've got traditionalists who come once just to confirm the gender, and after they've confirmed the gender, they'll just come to just sit in the and not even come in the consulting room, but they are there. There are those who are there, very loving, helpful. You know, I've got two couples who are expecting twins now. You know, and it's two contrasting, you know, emotions. You know, the other one, the guy is a lovely fellow with information, and he's always there, and so that one is really my agent. You know, I know exactly if there is a problem or not. You know, and then the other one is a contrast, because it was an oops moment, doubt, and now they've accepted that they are pregnant. So it's a different journey. But the important thing about the two is that both partners are involved, but in different levels.
Yes. Bongs, do you think part of the fear, or when you were not sure, do you think it had to do with financial positioning? Do you think if you were in a lower footing, maybe let me use that example, being in a lower footing, do you think you would have had an appreciation of this journey in a different light? And Doc, do you think the same private facilities that encourage, because I also have this notion that I think private institutions, they, you know, coordinate, you know, the participation of a man, you know, vis-a-vis in the private sector. Do you think that, I mean, the public sector, do you think there's still improvements that we should be doing in the public sector that could be encouraging of this behavior of men, fathers to be participating and becoming these agents that assist, you know, doctors post, you know, the consultation room? So I just want to take it like that, and then we just push it to conclusion.
Yeah, I think the fear, obviously, it's the cost of everything, you know, because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, you are going to provide for a family. You know, whether you are earning below what you expected, whether you're earning above what you expected, at the end of the day, you need to provide, you know, because our first conversation was in the special, you know, okay, do you go public, do you go private, you know, but I saw in her that, hey, public, she's not really happy, you know, because of all the experiences she's hearing and how they treat people and whatnot. I was like, you know what, it's fine. We'll pull wherever we pull. It's fine, but let's just make the funds available, you know. And it was that. If I was in a much different space, it would have been great, you know, because now you don't have to stress a lot to be like, okay, now I need to take there and then put there. Now I need to subtract there, add there, you know. So now it's a mathematical thing now to be like, okay, now we want the bank to reconcile. Where are we pulling? Where are we closing? You know. But at the same time, look, it's not taking away the happiness. It's not taking away the journey. It's not taking away the feeling. It's not taking away the fact that we decided to go private, you know, because it has its benefits, you know, as you were saying, that it glues everything together, you know, as opposed to public. And I think the dog will jump after this. You know, with public, it's different. You come, you check up, you leave. You come, you check up, leave, you know. But there's no sense of warmth. There's no sense of, come, sit down. Can we cater for you? Can we do this? Can we do this? You know, which personally, I think there can be an improvement in that manner. And I think maybe it coming from the dog, it'll make much more sense. But from the receiving end, I think there can be great improvement in terms of how they treat not only the women but also the men who support it. You know, allow me to be in that room. Allow me to ask questions. Allow me.
30 seconds. Your tip to the guys. Same journey.
Guys, enjoy your pregnancy. Feed the cravings. And just be
agent.
Be the agent. You know, be a proper agent, and above everything, support your partner, whether married or mjolo or you guys are separated. Just enjoy the journey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Doc?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, I agree with you, there's a lot that we can do to improve the experience in the obstetric wards. And I know it's a very slow journey, but it is getting there. And there are advantages, you know, like for an example, if you come to Barwa, we have like 7 clinics which are specific and specialized for different types of pregnancies. You know,
interesting.
like women who have had a lot of pregnancy losses. You know, there's a clinic specifically for them in terms of the courses, in terms of the treatment and management. But also you get the focused doctors who will be reading, doing a lot of research. And so we are not just talking about somebody who's just take things on face value, but they'll go in depth. You know, I ran the twin clinic, which is a multiple pregnancy clinic, for almost 8 years of my life at Barra. So all the women who are pregnant with twins will come to the clinic, you know, will come to our clinic. So we get different experiences. So even the reading that we do, the academic conferences, so the experience that get combined in an academic or a public hospital like Barra, it's unparalleled. You know, you won't get it in private, you know, and you get a prof that has worked at Barra for like 40 years, you know, so he has seen and done almost everything in Gynae. And if he's not there, there are things that you might miss out. But if he's there, you'll be able to ask questions and defer. So there are positives. You know, of course, I think there should be more that is done in the hospitality aspect of the public. You know, the Para Labor Ward, for an example, has got 22 birthing cubicles. So all those cubicles, that's in labor ward. So 22 cubicles for giving birth. And bringing in a partner might not be okay because of the exposure, but it's something that we need to look forward to when we design the new hospitals. And we can have creative way of how we bring in partners, you know, into the whole thing. And it just needs more of creativity and thinking outside the box, which is something that we need to encourage to improve the patient experience in the public sector. But of course, I will speak more passionate about the public sector because I spend most of my time there, you know, and I've learned a lot there. So yeah, it's things that we can change and to improve that. You know,
15 seconds, Doc. Advice to Amachita. Dads to be dads. Those are still planning on having kids.
Yeah, let's try to avoid oops moments. But if it has happened, be there. You know, be supportive. And learn, you know, be part of the journey and learn. Because both of us, myself as a doctor attending a gynae or obstetrician, you know, I'm learning because you can't stop learning. So let's learn from each other because the experience that I learned interacting with you could be beneficial to another actually couple. So it's an important thing to be part of the journey, prepare enough, you know, psychologically, and also put yourself into that space, you know, and be a good agent at home, you know, to make sure that the pregnancy.
Don't lose agents. And I assume that this context it's agents of change and presence
of pregnancy.
Of pregnancy.
Yes,
okay.
Pregnancy.
Yeah, because other people might be thinking you're calling for, you know, certain agents, you know, to infiltrate, but we just want guys to be good agents. And change the narrative and the experience of women, you know, having to be carrying our daughters and our sons. And this can only happen if we intentionally participate, be there. It has got nothing to do with the pocket. Even in public clinics, you can still walk your girlfriend, you can still walk your wife, and just allow yourself to sit on the bench. As long as you are there, you are present. And I think all of these experiences will be guided by our presence intentionally so, and ensuring that you give yourself the experience and you'll realize how beautiful a journey of pregnancy is. Some of us will still smile till today when we think about that. And they separate me with my daughter. My daughter, you know, till today, Doc, I can drop my daughter today at her mother or grandparents. 2 days later, I come back, my daughter runs to me like mad. And her mother always says, you know your daughter, you know. And I think you spoke about the connection that you, from an early time, if you're able to create that bond, you will be able to have some of these experiences. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for spending your data with us. We appreciate you. Please log in, invite friends and family to join us into this community of Men 360. We are changing the narrative of how men are today in the 21st century. Let's see each other next week, Tuesday. Thank you.